Hello there, and welcome to the prehistoric eras. I'm so glad you found your way here. The day has been long, hasn't it? All those thoughts, all that rushing. But here, in this quiet space, everything can finally slow down. Your breath can deepen, your shoulders can settle, because tonight, you're stepping away from the modern world and drifting back through time itself to a place where everything moved with the patience of stone, the grace of deep water, and the rhythm of ancient breath. Long before cities rose, before the first human footstep touched earth, there was a world of giants, creatures so vast, so powerful, that legends would one day call them terrifying. But here, in the gentle twilight of deep time, they are something else entirely. They are slow dancers in prehistoric seas. They are quiet wanderers through primeval forests. They are the soft giants who knew how to rest, how to drift, how to move with the unhurried pulse of a planet still learning how to dream. Tonight, you'll meet them not as fearsome beasts, but as ancient teachers of stillness in warm waters that catch the filtered light of long-ago suns, beneath canopies that have never known hurry, across wetlands where time itself moves like honey. These prehistoric beings will show you their secret, that even the mightiest creatures knew how to be gentle, how to coast on invisible currents, how to find peace in the simple act of existing. So let yourself sink deeper into comfort. Let your breathing match the slow tide of ancient seas, because in this world of prehistoric calm, everything moves slowly again. Before we get into the story, drop a comment with your country and the time right now. The water here is impossibly warm, impossibly blue. It wraps around you like a liquid embrace as you drift downward through layers of time, each one softer than the last. Sunlight filters down in long, wavering ribbons that dance and shift with the gentle sway of prehistoric currents. There's no hurry here, no urgency, only the quiet invitation to sink deeper into this ancient sanctuary where the very water seems to breathe. Far below, in the soft blue distance, where light begins to fade into mystery, shapes move with the grace of living mountains. They are vast beyond imagining, yet they drift with such gentle purpose that they seem less like creatures and more like whispered secrets of the deep. These are the echoes of giants older than continents, beings who learned their movements from the slow dance of tectonic plates and the patient rhythm of ocean tides. The water carries their presence upward not as sound, but as a feeling, a subtle shift in the current that speaks of immense bodies moving with deliberate calm through depths where pressure and peace are the same thing. Each movement sends ripples through the warm water, gentle waves that reach you like a lullaby made of liquid, reminding you that in this prehistoric realm, power and tranquility flow together like old friends. You feel yourself settling deeper into the embrace of these ancient waters, your own breathing slowing to match the unhurried pulse of this timeless place. Here, where the first great beings learned to move like poetry through blue infinity, there is no fear, only the profound peace that comes from witnessing grace so pure it seems to have been carved from the very dreams of the earth itself. And in this descent, in this gentle falling through warm blue space, where giants drift like living prayers, you begin to understand that the creatures legendary for their fearsome power were, in truth, masters of the most beautiful kind of stillness. They knew something we have forgotten, that true strength lies not in rushing, but in the ability to move through life with the patient majesty of deep currents. The water grows warmer around you, softer, more welcoming, and far below, in the gentle darkness, where the first soft giants make their eternal rounds, everything moves slowly again. In the depths, where warm currents spiral like liquid silk, something extraordinary drifts through the blue-green twilight. It moves with the unhurried grace of a drifting continent, its shadow so vast that whole schools of ancient fish seem no larger than scattered leaves falling through autumn air. This is Megalodon, but not the monster of nightmares here. In the gentle realm of deep time, it is something far more wonderful. The great shark moves like a living meditation, each sweep of its massive tail creating currents that spiral outward in perfect, hypnotic patterns. Its skin catches the filtered sunlight and transforms it into moving constellations of silver and gray, patterns that shift and flow like the breathing of the ocean itself. There is no hunger in its movement, no aggression, only the profound peace of a creature so perfectly adapted to its world that every motion becomes a prayer of belonging. The water around Megalodon shimmers with life, but not life that flees in terror. Small fish move alongside its massive flanks like living jewels, catching rides on the gentle currents it creates. They know, as all things new in this ancient realm, that true power speaks in whispers, not roars. The great shark's presence is not a threat, but a promise. The promise that in a world of such immense beings, there is room for all things to find their place in the slow, eternal dance of existence. You find yourself drifting closer, drawn not by fear but by wonder. The creature's eye, when it briefly turns in your direction, holds the depth of centuries. It sees you without alarm, acknowledging your presence with the calm acceptance of something that has watched the rise and fall of entire species with the patience of tides. In that gaze lies no malice, only the infinite wisdom of deep water and the gentle authority of time itself. As Megalodon continues its eternal patrol through these warm, ancient seas, its movements create a rhythm that seems to sync with your own heartbeat. Each slow sweep of its tail becomes a gentle reminder that in this prehistoric sanctuary, speed and fear have no place. Here, in the blue infinity where the first great predators learned to move like living music through the water, power has been transformed into something far more beautiful. The art of existing in perfect harmony with the endless, breathing ocean. The currents carry you alongside this gentle giant for what feels like hours or perhaps centuries, time itself flowing as slowly as the warm water that surrounds you both. And in this shared journey through the blue depths where legends are born from whispered secrets rather than screamed warnings, everything moves slowly again. The air here is thick and sweet, heavy with the perfume of prehistoric flowers that bloom in colors time has forgotten. Mist rises from waters so still they mirror the sky perfectly, creating a world where earth and heaven seem to breathe as one. Spanish moss that has never known autumn hangs in gentle curtains, filtering the golden light into soft, dancing patterns that play across the surface of these ancient wetlands. Through this drowsy paradise, the water barely stirs as something immense begins to surface. Ripples spread outward in slow, perfect circles, each one catching the warm light and carrying it toward the banks where enormous ferns nod in the gentle humidity. This is not the violent eruption of a predator breaking cover. This is the careful, deliberate rising of Sarcosuchus, the prehistoric crocodile that has learned to move through its world like a living prayer of patience. The great creature emerges with the dignity of a fallen tree carried by time itself, its massive form breaking the surface so gradually that the water never seems disturbed, only gently displaced by something too large and too ancient to hurry. Its hide, weathered and scarred by countless seasons, gleams wet in the filtered sunlight, transformed from armor into art by the way the light catches each ridge and valley of its prehistoric skin. Sarcosuchus does not thrash or snap. Instead, it floats with the serene authority of something that has long ago transcended the need for unnecessary movement. Its eyes, half hidden by the lazy swirl of warm water, hold the wisdom of wetlands that have watched the world change around them while remaining eternally the same. There is no hunger in those ancient eyes, no threat, only the deep peace of a creature that exists in perfect harmony with the rhythm of still water and patient time. As you watch from the soft bank, where prehistoric flowers release their forgotten fragrances into the humid air, Sarcosuchus begins to drift. Not swimming, not hunting, but simply allowing the warm currents to carry its massive form through the mirror-still water like a log that has somehow learned to dream. Its movement creates barely a whisper of sound, just the gentle lapping of water against ancient skin, the soft sigh of liquid displaced by something too magnificent to disturb the peace. The wetlands embrace their gentle giant, wrapping it in mist and warmth, and the eternal patience of water that has nowhere to go and all the time in the world to get there. Here, in this drowsy sanctuary where sighs and serenity dance together through the golden light, even the mightiest predators have learned the art of floating like prayers through the sacred stillness of deep time. Deep beneath the surface, where sunlight becomes memory and pressure transforms into a gentle embrace, the water holds different secrets. Here, in caverns carved from liquid darkness, shapes move that seem more sculpture than flesh, more poem than predator. The water itself feels different at this depth, thicker, more welcoming, infused with the patience of abyss and the wisdom of creatures that have learned to make beauty from the most unexpected places. Through this underwater cathedral drifts something that challenges every expectation of what prehistoric power should look like. Dunkleosteus moves like a living work of art, its armor catching what little light filters down from above and transforming it into patterns of liquid, silver, and shadow. Each plate of bone is polished by eons of gentle current into something that resembles the finest craftsmanship rather than the brutal protection of a prehistoric predator. The great fish's jaw, legendary for its crushing power, opens and closes with the slow rhythm of breathing water. But there is no violence in this motion. It is the meditation of filter feeding, the gentle process of drawing sustenance from the sea with the patient grace of something that has transcended the need for brutality. The bone plates that once spoke of fearsome strength now catch and scatter light like the scales of some impossible jewel, creating aureoles of soft luminescence that follow the creature through the dark water. As Dunkleosteus turns in the liquid twilight, its movement creates currents that spiral upward in perfect helixes, carrying with them the scent of deep places where pressure and peace are indistinguishable. Its armor, segmented and ancient, flexes with surprising grace, each piece moving in harmony with the others like the parts of some magnificent, living mandala that has learned to swim through the dreams of the deep. You find yourself drawn into the wake of this gentle titan, surrounded by the soft currents it creates as it navigates through forests of swaying kelp that have never known storms. The water here tastes of minerals and time, of depths where the earth reveals its most intimate secrets to creatures patient enough to listen. And Dunkleosteus, despite the legends of terror that will one day surround its name, moves through this realm like a priest through a cathedral, its every motion a gesture of reverence for the sacred darkness that surrounds it. The armor gleams one final time as the creature disappears into the deeper shadows, leaving behind only the gentle currents that carry its blessing through. The underwater twilight. In this place where fear was supposed to reign, beauty has bloomed instead, proving that even the most formidable creatures can become teachers of grace when time has polished their movements into poetry. The forest here breathes with the slow rhythm of a world still learning how to dream. Massive trees rise like gentle giants, their trunks so wide that whole civilizations could shelter in their shadows, their leaves creating canopies so thick that the air below stays soft and warm and green-tinted, as if the very atmosphere has been infused with the patience of growing things. Mist drifts between the enormous ferns, carrying with it the sweet fragrance of flowers that bloom in colors the modern world has forgotten how to see. In this cathedral of prehistoric verdure, where humidity wraps around you like a living thing, and every breath tastes of earth and ancient rain, something magnificent rests among the fallen logs and twisted roots. It does not coil with menace or preparation for strike. Instead, it lies with the serene patience of a river that has learned to dream in the shape of living muscle. This is Titanoboa, but transformed by the gentle alchemy of deep time into something far more wonderful than terror. The great serpent's scales catch the filtered light that falls through the canopy in soft, dancing beams, transforming each segment of its incredible length into facets of an impossible emerald that breathes with the rhythm of the forest itself. Its body, thick as the trunk of an ancient tree, rises and falls with the slow tide of sleep or meditation, each coil settling into the soft earth with the weight of something that has learned to rest with the authority of mountains. There is no tension in these massive coils, no gathering of power for some terrible strike. Instead, Titanoboa moves like heat itself made visible, flowing with the languid grace of warm air rising through jungle mist. When it does shift, the movement sends gentle ripples through the prehistoric undergrowth, causing enormous ferns to sway as if touched by a breeze that carries the dreams of serpents through the green twilight. Its head, when it occasionally lifts from its resting place among the moss-covered logs, moves with the unhurried curiosity of something that has all the time in the world to observe its domain. The eyes that once would be described as terrible hold instead the deep intelligence of old-growth forests, the wisdom of something that understands that true power lies not in speed or violence, but in the ability to exist in perfect harmony with the slow breath of the world itself. As you watch from a comfortable distance among the warm shadows, Titanoboa settles deeper into its bed of prehistoric moss and fallen leaves. Its breathing creates small movements in the undergrowth, gentle disturbances that speak not of danger but of life so powerful it can afford to rest completely, to trust in the protection of its own magnificent presence and the patient sanctuary of the breathing forest. Here, in this place where the air itself feels like an embrace and every surface is soft with the accumulation of countless seasons, even the mightiest serpent has learned the art of perfect repose. Its coils rise and fall with the rhythm of Earth's own breathing, proving that in the sanctuary of deep time, all creatures eventually find their way to peace. At the edge of time, where prehistoric seas kiss shores that have never known the footprint of hurry, waves lap with the gentle persistence of lullabies against sand that sparkles with the crushed remains of shells older than memory. The water here holds a different quality of light, softer, more golden, as if it has been filtered through layers of time itself until it carries only the gentlest essence of sun and sea. Through these shallow, crystal waters moves something that transforms the very meaning of grace. Archelon navigates these ancient shallows with movements that seem choreographed by the tides themselves, each stroke of its massive flippers creating currents that spiral outward in perfect harmony with the rhythm of waves. Its shell, enormous beyond imagination yet somehow perfectly proportioned, catches the filtered sunlight and holds it, glowing like a living amber jewel that has learned to swim through the dreams of the ocean. The great sea turtle moves with purpose, but it is the purpose of pilgrimage rather than pursuit. Each sweep of its ancient flippers carries it forward with the patient inevitability of seasons changing, of continents drifting, of stars wheeling through their eternal dance above waters that reflect infinity. There is profound wisdom in every movement, the accumulated knowledge of countless journeys across prehistoric oceans, of migrations that spanned eras rather than mere seasons. As Archelon glides through the warm shallows, smaller creatures gather in its wake, not fleeing from a predator, but drawn to the gentle currents created by its passage. Fish with scales like scattered starlight follow in loose formations, riding the pressure waves created by something so large and so peaceful that its very presence becomes a blessing upon the waters. Even the smallest swimming things seem to understand that they are witnessing something sacred, the meditation of a creature that carries the ocean's own memory in the spiral patterns of its ancient shell. The turtle's head, wise beyond the capacity of legends to contain, occasionally breaks the surface to breathe. But even this necessary interruption of its underwater ballet is performed with such grace that it seems less like a break in rhythm than a natural pause in an eternal song. The water streams from its shell in patterns that catch the light like liquid music, creating brief moments where sea and sky seem to merge in the space around this gentle giant. You find yourself floating nearby, supported by waters that feel warm and welcoming, and somehow blessed by the presence of this ancient navigator. Archelon acknowledges your presence with the calm acceptance of something that has seen the rise and fall of entire oceans, that has learned the deepest secret of existence, that all journeys, no matter how vast, are best taken with the patience of tides and the gentle authority of creatures who understand that true destinations are not places but states of being. The great turtle continues its eternal pilgrimage through these sun-blessed waters, carrying on its shell the weight of ages and the lightness of perfect peace, proving that even in a world of giants, the gentlest movements can create the most profound magic. Deep in the prehistoric woodlands, where giant ferns unfurl like the dreams of the earth itself, and moss grows thick as velvet on logs that fell when time was young, the forest floor pulses with a rhythm older than heartbeats. The air here moves differently, thick with humidity and the sweet breath of flowering plants that bloom in impossible profusions of color, purples that have no names, yellows that speak of sunshine filtered through leaves that remember when the world was new. Through this carpet of prehistoric abundance, something moves with the measured cadence of walking meditation. Each step creates a soft whisper against fallen leaves, the size of dinner plates, a gentle percussion that blends seamlessly with the drip of moisture from enormous branches and the distant calls of creatures that sing songs the modern world has never heard. This is Arthropleura, but transformed by the alchemy of deep time into something far more wondrous than the terror of ancient legends. The great millipede moves like a living wave through the soft undergrowth, its segmented body rising and falling in undulations that mimic the rhythm of breathing earth. Each segment catches the filtered light differently, creating patterns that shift and flow like the shadows of leaves dancing in gentle wind. Its movement is not the scuttling of nightmare, but the careful, deliberate progress of something that understands the profound importance of patience in a world where hurry has never been invented. As Arthropleura navigates between the massive tree trunks that rise like cathedral pillars around it, its movement creates small disturbances in the forest, carpet leaves shifting softly, tiny flowers nodding as the creature passes, spores of ancient moss rising in gentle clouds that catch the light and transform it into aureoles of green and gold. There is ceremony in every step, ritual in every ripple of its prehistoric form. The creature pauses frequently, not from exhaustion but from what seems to be pure appreciation for the garden it moves through. These stops create moments of perfect stillness, where the only sound is the gentle drip of moisture and the soft whisper of growing things reaching toward the light. In these pauses, Arthropleura seems to commune with the forest itself, its long body stretched across fallen logs like a bridge between the ancient earth and the dreaming canopy above. You follow at a distance through this prehistoric paradise, your own footsteps silent on the deep moss that cushions every surface. The air tastes of flowers and earth, and the green breath of plants so ancient they remember when the sky was a different color. Around you, the forest enfolds this gentle giant in what feels like loving embrace, proving that even creatures legendary for causing fear can find their place in the most beautiful kind of sanctuary. Arthropleura's movement creates a meditation on the art of existence itself, the slow, careful placement of each step, the patient navigation through beauty so profound it seems to have been painted by time itself. In a world where every inch of earth blooms with impossible life, even the mightiest crawler has learned to move like poetry through the endless green dream of the ancient forest. As the day grows, soft around the edges, and light takes on the golden quality of honey poured through ancient amber, the prehistoric waters begin to whisper different secrets. The surface barely stirs, reflecting a sky painted in colors that have no names, rose and lavender, and the deep blue of approaching evening blending together like the breath of twilight itself. In this gentle transition between day and dream, the water holds mysteries that reveal themselves only to those patient enough to watch and wonder. Through the liquid gold of sunset water, something moves that challenges every assumption about the nature of fear and beauty. A shape approaches from the depths, but it comes with the unhurried grace of a prayer rising through sacred water, carrying with it an aura of mystery so profound it transforms terror into wonder. This is Helicoprion, the shark with the spiral saw. But here in the sanctuary of deep time, it has become something far more magical than any nightmare could conceive. The Lisdef creature's most famous feature, the bizarre spiral of teeth that earned it legends of horror, catches the dying light and transforms it into something resembling an ancient nautilus shell made of silver and shadow. As Helicoprion moves through the warm water, this spiral creates currents that flow in perfect mathematical patterns, spirals within spirals that speak of the deep geometry that underlies all life, all growth, all the hidden mathematics of existence itself. There is no violence in the creature's movement, no suggestion of the crushing power that those strange teeth might possess. Instead, Helicoprion swims like a living meditation on the nature of spirals, the way galaxies turn, the way shells grow, the way water flows down drains and DNA coils and ancient stories wind their way through time. Its movement creates a hypnotic rhythm that seems to sync with the gentle pulse of your own breathing, inviting you deeper into the trance of this twilight sanctuary. The water around the creature shimmers with reflected light from its spiral jaw, creating patterns that dance and shift across the surface like the aurora playing across polar seas. Small fish gather in its wake, not fleeing but drawn by the beautiful currents it creates, swimming in formations that echo the spiral pattern of its namesake, as if the very geometry of its being has taught them new ways to move through water. As true darkness begins to gather at the edges of the prehistoric sky, Helicoprion's form becomes something between creature and constellation, its strange spiral catching and holding the last light of day like a living galaxy swimming through the dreams of the deep. The sight is so beautiful, so far from the realm of nightmare, that it serves as a perfect reminder that in the sanctuary of deep time, even the strangest and most fearsome creatures become teachers of wonder. The creature disappears into the deeper waters as night fully claims the ancient sea, leaving behind only the gentle spirals of disturbed water and the memory of seeing something impossible made not only real but beautiful. In the growing darkness, where stars begin to reflect in perfectly still water, the lesson of Helicoprion lingers. That transformation is possible for all things, that even the most feared can become the most wondrous when viewed through the patient eyes of time. High above the prehistoric world, where the sky stretches infinite and blue and unmarked by anything that speaks of hurry or concern, currents flow that carry stories older than continents. The air here moves differently than it does in the modern world, thicker, warmer, rich with the breath of countless flowering plants and the moisture rising from vast wetlands that stretch beyond the horizon. It is air that has never known pollution, never been scarred by the sound of engines or the smell of industry. Air that moves with the pure rhythm of wind and weather and the patient circulation of a planet still learning to breathe. Through this pristine atmosphere, something soars that transforms the very meaning of flight. Quetzalcoatlus rides the warm thermals with movements so graceful they seem choreographed by the wind itself, its massive wings spanning distances that dwarf the imagination, while carrying its impossible bulk with an ease that speaks of perfect adaptation to the art of staying aloft. Each movement of those enormous wings creates ripples in the air that spread outward like the wake of a ship sailing through the ocean of sky. The great pterosaur does not flap with the desperate energy of escape or pursuit. Instead, it sails with the serene authority of something that has mastered the deepest secrets of atmosphere and lived in the hidden currents that flow invisibly through the open blue. Its wings, when they do beat, create sounds like distant thunder, not threatening, but profoundly peaceful. The percussion of something so large and so graceful that even its simplest movements become music. From your vantage point far below, Quetzalcoatlus appears sometimes as a silhouette against the brilliant sky, sometimes as a shadow that passes across the sun like a blessing from above. The way it moves speaks of journeys measured not in miles but in continents, migrations that span entire seasons and connect distant corners of the prehistoric world through the patient navigation of a creature that reads the sky like others read maps. As it soars above the golden coastlines and endless wetlands, the pterosaur's presence creates changes in the very quality of light. Its shadow, when it passes overhead, brings moments of cool relief that feel like gifts from the sky itself. The wind patterns created by its passage stir the leaves of massive trees and send ripples across the surfaces of countless prehistoric pools, connecting earth and air in the subtle choreography of something that understands the deep unity underlying all things. You watch as Quetzalcoatlus catches a thermal and begins to spiral upward, rising with such easy grace that it seems to be climbing an invisible staircase built from warm air and sunlight. Its ascent speaks not of escape from the world below, but of a different kind of relationship with space itself, a understanding that height and depth, earth and sky, are not opposites but partners in the eternal dance of existence. Even when the great flyer disappears into the blue distance, becoming first a speck and then a memory against the infinite canvas of prehistoric sky, its presence lingers in the changed quality of the air itself. The lesson of Quetzalcoatlus whispers through the warm breeze that true power lies not in conquering the sky, but in learning to dance with it, to move through the vast blue spaces with the patient grace of something that knows it belongs wherever the wind chooses to carry it. In the gentle embrace of a prehistoric river, where time flows as slowly as the warm water that reflects the golden light of a sun growing soft with evening, ancient banks rise like cathedral walls, lined with ferns the size of trees and flowers that bloom in colors forgotten by the modern world. The water here moves with the lazy persistence of honey, carrying with it the sweet scent of flowering vegetation and the patient whisper of currents that have nowhere urgent to go. Along these dreaming banks, where moss grows thick as velvet and fallen logs provide perfect resting places for creatures that understand the art of patience. Something immense settles into the shallow water with the quiet authority of a living island finding its preferred anchorage. Dinosaurs positions itself with movements so gradual, so deliberate, that the water barely stirs as its massive form settles into the soft mud of the riverbank, becoming part of the landscape itself. The great crocodile's hide blends so perfectly with the dappled shadows cast by overhanging branches that it seems less like a separate creature than a natural feature of this ancient waterway. Its breathing creates gentle ripples that spread outward in perfect circles, each one catching the golden light and carrying it toward the opposite bank like liquid rings of warm illumination. There is no tension in its posture, no coiling of energy for sudden movement, only the profound peace of something that has learned to exist in perfect harmony with the slow rhythm of flowing water. As the evening light grows softer and more golden, Dinosaurs seems to sink deeper into its chosen resting place, its massive form becoming one with the warm mud and water plants that surround it. Small fish swim without fear around its partially submerged bulk, understanding somehow that in this sanctuary of deep time, even the mightiest predators have evolved beyond the need for violence. They are drawn instead to the gentle currents created by its slow breathing, riding the subtle waves like tiny surfers on liquid light. The prehistoric riverbank embraces its gentle giant with what feels like love flowers, leaning down to trail their blooms in the water near its resting place. Birds landing fearlessly on fallen logs just inches from its massive head, butterflies with wings like stained glass windows, settling briefly on its warming hide before continuing their lazy flights through the golden air. Everything in this place seems to understand that they are witnessing not a fearsome predator, but a creature that has transcended fear to become something far more beautiful, a living part of the peaceful landscape itself. You find yourself sitting on the soft bank nearby, your feet trailing in water so warm it feels like bath water heated by ancient sunshine. The gentle lapping of tiny waves against the shore creates a rhythm that syncs perfectly with your breathing, while the presence of Dinosaurs nearby radiates a sense of protection and peace that makes this prehistoric riverbank feel like the safest place in any world, ancient or modern. As darkness begins to gather in the spaces between the massive trees and the first stars appear reflected in the still water, Dinosaurs settles even deeper into its riverbed sanctuary. Its massive presence becomes less visible and more felt a warmth in the water, a gentle stirring of current, a reminder that true strength lies not in the ability to create fear, but in the capacity to become so perfectly peaceful that even the smallest creatures seek shelter in your shadow. Far beneath the surface, where pressure becomes embrace and darkness transforms into the deepest kind of sanctuary, the water holds different secrets than those known in the world of light above. Here, in depths where the sun has never penetrated and silence reigns with the authority of cathedrals, currents move with the patient grace of liquefied time itself. The water tastes of minerals and mystery, of depths where the earth reveals its most intimate secrets to creatures wise enough to dwell in the sacred darkness. Through this liquid midnight moves something that challenges every assumption about the nature of size and beauty and the relationship between power and peace. Camarasaurus navigates these profound depths with movements that seem choreographed by the deep currents themselves, its massive shell spiraling through the darkness like a nautilus grown to the size of a living monument. Each movement sends gentle ripples through the black water, ripples that carry whispers of something so large and so ancient that its very presence seems to bless the abyss. The great cephalopod moves with tentacles that flow like liquid poetry through the dark water, each arm reaching and touching and exploring with the gentle curiosity of something that understands the deep geometry underlying all existence. Its shell, striped with bands that catch what little bioluminescent light filters through these depths, glows with an internal radiance that transforms the surrounding water into something resembling a vast, dark chapel lit by living candles. There is no urgency in Camarasaurus's movement through these sacred depths, no hunting or fleeing or any of the desperate dance of predator and prey. Instead, it moves with the serene authority of something that has learned to navigate by inner compass rather than external pressure, its massive form drifting through the liquid darkness with the confidence of a creature that understands its place in the deep architecture of existence. Its tentacles occasionally brush against the seafloor, stirring up small clouds of sediment that catch the creature's bioluminescent glow and transform into constellations of living light. As you descend deeper into this prehistoric abyss, supported by water so dense and warm it feels like being embraced by liquid velvet, the presence of Camarasaurus becomes less a sight than a feeling. Its movements create pressure waves that you feel rather than see, gentle pulses that sync with your own breathing and remind you that even in the deepest darkness, there is rhythm, there is breath, there is the patient circulation of life through spaces that most creatures can only dream of reaching. The great nautiloid occasionally releases small clouds of what appears to be bioluminescent ink, but rather than the defensive mechanism of fear, these releases seem more like expressions of art, clouds of living light that spiral and drift through the dark water like galaxy formations in miniature, creating temporary constellations that illuminate the abyss with the most gentle kind of magic before fading back into the embrace of sacred darkness. In this place where pressure and peace are indistinguishable, where the weight of countless fathoms above creates not crushing force, but perfect sanctuary, Camarasaurus continues its eternal meditation through the deep. Its presence reminds you that even in the most remote and mysterious places, life finds ways to not just survive, but to create beauty, to transform the most challenging environments into sanctuaries of grace and wonder. The creature's form begins to fade into the deeper darkness as it continues its ancient journey through the abyss, leaving behind only the gentle pressure waves of its passage and the lingering glow of bioluminescent light slowly dissolving into black water. In this deepest sanctuary of the prehistoric world, even the mightiest creatures have learned to move like whispered prayers through liquid cathedral spaces where depth becomes not barrier but blessing. In a place where currents converge and ancient waters flow together like the meeting of great rivers in the sky, something magical happens beneath the prehistoric surface. The water here holds layers of different temperatures and densities, creating invisible highways through the blue that carry stories from distant corners of the ancient ocean. Sunlight filters down in broad columns that illuminate these aquatic crossroads, revealing a gathering that speaks of the deep connections underlying all existence. Through these intersecting currents, two giants of different realms come together in a moment that transforms understanding of what it means to share space and time. Megalodon approaches from the deeper blue, its massive form cutting through the water with the patient authority of something that owns all oceanic space, while from the sun-blessed shallows above comes the ancient grace of Archelon, its shell catching and scattering light like a living prism swimming through liquid gold. The meeting is not collision but convergence, not confrontation but a beautiful demonstration of how the mightiest creatures can exist in the same space with mutual respect and shared understanding. As their paths cross in the warm intersection of currents, Megalodon adjusts its course with subtle movements that speak of awareness without aggression, while Archelon maintains its steady rhythm with the calm certainty of something that has never known the need for fear. For a moment that stretches into eternity, the two titans swim side by side through the layered currents, their movements creating a synchronized dance that speaks of the deep harmony possible when power learns to express itself through grace rather than dominance. The great shark's wake mingles with the gentle disturbance created by the turtle's ancient flippers, creating spiral patterns in the water that catch the light and transform it into living mandalas of liquid brilliance. Around them, the water seems to celebrate this convergence. Smaller creatures gather in the space between the giants, riding the mixed currents like living confetti in a celebration of coexistence. Schools of fish move in formations that echo the shapes of both creatures, some flowing like the sleek lines of Megalodon, others moving in the steady, purposeful patterns that mirror Archelon's patient navigation through the prehistoric seas. The moment extends, suspended in the warm blue like a prayer made visible, a demonstration that in the sanctuary of deep time, even the most powerful creatures can meet not as rivals, but as fellow travelers on the ancient pathways of existence. Their shared presence transforms the water around them into something sacred, a liquid cathedral where size and strength serve not to intimidate, but to create beauty on a scale that matches the vastness of their shared home. As the currents eventually carry them on their separate journeys, the memory of their peaceful convergence lingers in the water itself, a blessing that ripples outward through the prehistoric seas, carrying with it the promise that in a world vast enough for true giants, there is always room for grace, always space for the kind of meetings that transform even the mightiest encounters into moments of pure wonder. In the deep heart of the prehistoric forest, where ancient trees rise like living cathedrals, and the air itself seems to breathe with the slow rhythm of growing things, a gentle rain of leaves falls with the persistence of blessing. Each leaf, broad as a dinner plate and colored in shades that have no names in the modern world, drifts down through layers of green light to settle on the forest floor with the softest whisper of landing. Through this cathedral of falling foliage, Titanoboa rests in perfect stillness among the massive logs and gentle slopes of moss-covered earth. The great serpent has positioned itself to receive this prehistoric rainfall of leaves, its coils forming natural basins where the falling vegetation gathers like living blankets of green and gold and deep forest brown. Each leaf that settles on its warming hide seems to be accepted as a gift, a blessing from the canopy above that speaks of the deep connection between all growing things. The serpent's breathing creates gentle movements in this accumulating coverage of leaves, causing them to rise and fall like the surface of a calm sea made from the pondder dreams of trees. There is profound peace in this rhythm, a meditation on the art of receiving gifts from the sky while remaining perfectly grounded in the warm embrace of ancient earth. Titanoboa has learned the secret of existing as both creature and landscape, both individual being and integral part of the larger breathing forest. As the leaf fall continues, some of the larger fronds settle across the serpent's massive coils like natural blankets woven from the forest's own dreams. The great snake does not stir to remove them, but instead seems to welcome this gentle covering, understanding perhaps that in this sanctuary of deep time, even the mightiest predators can find comfort in being embraced by the very world they inhabit. The accumulating leaves create patterns of light and shadow that move with each breath, transforming Titanoboa into a living part of the forest floor's endless, patient meditation. Small creatures move fearlessly among the serpent's leaf-covered coils, insects that look like living jewels, tiny lizards that pause to bask in the warmth radiating from the great snake's hide. even birds that land briefly on the highest points of its resting form before continuing their journey through the green twilight above. All seem to understand that they are witnessing not a predator at rest, but a creature that has transcended the need for predation to become something more beautiful, a living part of the forest's own breathing. The air around this peaceful scene carries the sweet scent of decomposing leaves and flowering plants, the green perfume of a world where death and life dance together in endless, gentle cycles. Each breath you take tastes of earth and growing things and the patient accumulation of time itself, while the sight of Titanoboa receiving its blessing of falling leaves serves as a reminder that even the mightiest creatures can find their greatest strength in stillness, their truest power in the art of simply being, present to receive whatever gifts the world chooses to offer. As more leaves settle like whispered benedictions on the serpent's peaceful form, the boundary between creature and forest continues to dissolve, until Titanoboa seems less like a visitor to this place and more like an expression of the forest's own dreaming, a living embodiment of what it means to exist in perfect harmony with the slow, generous pulse of the ancient earth. In the depths where columns of ancient stone rise like the ribs of some sleeping giant, and bioluminescent creatures paint trails of living light through the liquid darkness, the water holds memories of pressure and time that speak in languages older than words. Here, where the seafloor reveals the bones of the earth itself, currents flow between natural cathedrals carved from rock and patience, creating spaces that feel both vast and intimate, both alien and deeply familiar. Through these underwater temples moves Dunkleosteus, its armored form no longer the embodiment of prehistoric terror, but something transformed by the alchemy of deep time into living art. The creature's bone plates, polished by eons of gentle current, catch the scattered light of bioluminescent organisms and reflect it in patterns that dance across the stone columns like aurora playing across polar seas. Each facet of its ancient armor becomes a mirror for the dancing lights, creating a symphony of illumination that transforms the dark water into something resembling a vast, liquid ballroom. The great fish moves between the stone pillars with movements that seem choreographed by the deep currents themselves, its massive form navigating the underwater architecture with surprising grace. As it passes each column, the bioluminescent organisms clinging to the stone respond to its presence by flaring to life, creating cascades of blue and green and silver light that follow in its wake, like the train of some impossible gown made from liquid starlight. There is ceremony in every movement as Dunkleosteus weaves between these ancient formations, its armored bulk somehow managing to pass through spaces that seem barely wide enough to contain its massive presence. The bone plates that once spoke of fearsome strength now serve as canvas for the living light show created by its passage, each surface reflecting and refracting the bioluminescence until the creature itself becomes a moving constellation swimming through the liquid darkness. The water around these stone cathedrals carries different sounds than the open ocean. The gentle echo of movement between confined spaces, the whisper of current flowing around ancient obstacles, the soft percussion of the creature's breathing, amplified and softened by the natural acoustics of this underwater temple. Each sound seems to linger in the water longer than it should, creating layers of gentle echo that transform even the simplest movements into something resembling music. As you float among these pillars of living stone, watching Dunkleosteus navigate its underwater cathedral with the patient grace of a priest making rounds through a sanctuary, the boundary between creature and architecture begins to blur. The armored fish seems less like a visitor to this place and more like an integral part of its ancient mystery, a living element in the deep ocean's own meditation on the relationship between strength and beauty, between armor and art. The great fish's form eventually disappears into the deeper recesses of the stone forest, but the echoes of its passage continue to ripple through the dark water patterns of disturbed bioluminescence that fade slowly back to baseline, leaving behind only the memory of seeing something impossible made not only real but transcendently beautiful in the liquid cathedral spaces where light and darkness dance eternal partners through the dreams of the deep. In a clearing where prehistoric sunlight falls in broad columns through gaps in the Kossuth ancient canopy, creating a natural amphitheater floored with moss, softer than any carpet, the forest reveals one of its most sacred spaces. Here, where massive tree trunks form a circle like standing stones, arranged by time itself, and flowering vines cascade in waterfalls of color that have no names in the modern world, something beautiful is about to unfold, a demonstration of how even the smallest movements can become profound meditation when performed with perfect presence. Into this sun-dappled sanctuary comes Arthropleura, but not as the nightmare creature of legend. Instead, it moves with the deliberate grace of something performing a ritual older than memory, each segment of its incredible length rising and falling in perfect rhythm as it navigates the soft forest floor. The great millipede's movement creates gentle waves that flow from head to tail and back again, a visible representation of the breathing earth itself, learning how to walk through its own dream. Each footstep, and there are so many feet, each one touching the moss with the delicacy of a whispered prayer, creates small depressions in the soft ground that fill with golden light filtered through the canopy above. The creature moves slowly enough that you can watch the light pool in its footprints before flowing back to level, creating a trail of temporary illumination that marks its passage through this prehistoric paradise like breadcrumbs made of liquid sunlight. The millipede's segmented body catches the shifting light in ways that transform its ancient form into something resembling living jewelry, each segment reflecting and refracting the golden illumination until its entire length seems to glow with internal light. As it moves, patterns of brightness flow along its form, like waves of luminescence traveling the length of a living fiber optic cable that has learned to walk through gardens of impossible beauty. There is profound peace in watching this slow procession across the forest clearing, a meditation on the art of taking time, of moving through beautiful spaces with the kind of attention that honors every step, every breath, every moment of contact between living creature and the earth that supports it. Arthropleura's movement speaks not of urgency or destination, but of journey as prayer, of locomotion as a form of worship offered to the sacred ground beneath and the cathedral of trees above. Around the clearing, the forest seems to hold its breath in appreciation of this gentle giant's passage. Birds pause in their calls, insects hover motionless in shafts of golden light. Even the leaves seem to still their rustling, as if the entire ecosystem recognizes that something sacred is taking place, the simple, profound act of a creature moving through space with such perfect presence that every step becomes a blessing. As Arthropleura reaches the far side of the clearing and begins to disappear into the shadowy spaces between the massive trees, its movement continues to create ripples in the soft moss, gentle disturbances that catch and hold the light for long moments after its passage. The clearing retains the memory of its visit in these subtle changes to the forest floor, in the way the light now falls differently through spaces the creature has passed through, in the sense that something important has happened here, a reminder that even the simplest acts can become profound when performed with the patient grace of creatures who understand the sacred nature of simply moving through the world with perfect attention. as the day begins its gentle surrender to evening, painting the prehistoric sky in colors that blend like watercolors left to flow together on cosmic canvas. The vast wetlands below reflect this celestial art with mirror-perfect clarity. The water here stretches to the horizon in a network of channels and islands, each surface so still it doubles the world, creating a realm where sky and earth breathe together in perfect symmetry. Silver light catches on countless small pools scattered throughout this aquatic paradise, turning the entire landscape into a vast constellation of reflected stars still glowing in daylight. High above this liquid mirror world, Quetzalcoatlus begins what feels like a farewell flight, its massive wings carrying it in wide, lazy circles over the sleeping wetlands with movements that speak not of hunting or migration, but of pure appreciation for the beauty spread below. The great pterosaur rides thermals that rise from water warmed by a full day of prehistoric sunshine, each wing beat creating ripples in the air that eventually reach the surface as gentle breezes that barely disturb the mirror perfection of the countless pools. As the flying giant passes overhead, its shadow moves across the wetland surface like a blessing, a cool, moving patch of shade that follows the channels and curves around islands with fluid grace. Fish rise to the surface in the wake of this shadow, not fleeing but gathering, as if they understand that the passage of something so magnificent overhead is an event worth witnessing. Their movements create gentle rings of disturbance that spread outward through the silver water, connecting distant pools in networks of ripples that speak of shared wonder. The pterosaur's flight pattern reveals intimate knowledge of this ancient landscape, each turn and glide following air currents that flow like invisible rivers above the water. Quetzalcoatlus moves with the confidence of something that has mapped every thermal, every wind pattern, every subtle shift in air pressure that marks the difference between the various habitats spread below. Its flight is not random wandering but conscious artistry, a demonstration of how creatures can learn to read the sky like others read books. As evening light grows softer and more golden, the great flyer's wings catch and scatter illumination in ways that create brief moments where the boundary between creature and sky seems to dissolve. The translucent membranes of its wings glow like stained glass windows when backlit by the setting sun, casting colored shadows that drift across the wetlands in patterns that transform the water's surface into something resembling a vast, living painting that changes with each movement overhead. The wetlands below seem to breathe in rhythm with the pterosaur's wing beats, the gentle rise and fall of water levels creating subtle changes in how light reflects from the surface. Small islands appear and disappear as water levels shift, while larger landmasses remain constant, creating a landscape that feels both permanent and fluid, both solid and dreamlike. In this breathing world where land and water dance together under the patient gaze of creatures that navigate by reading the secret language written in warm air and shifting light, even the most powerful flyers become part of a larger meditation on the art of existing in harmony with forces larger than any individual life. As Quetzalcoatlus completes another wide circle over the silver wetlands, its reflection appears briefly in the still water below a perfect mirror image that creates the illusion of two great pterosaurs, one flying above and one swimming through liquid sky. This moment of perfect symmetry, where up and down become meaningless and the creature seems to exist simultaneously in two worlds, serves as a reminder that in the sanctuary of deep time, boundaries become suggestions, and the most magical transformations are simply different ways of seeing the same eternal truth. As twilight begins to claim the prehistoric world, painting shadows and colors deeper than purple and transforming the last light of day into something resembling liquid amber, The ancient wetlands prepare for their nightly transformation from landscape into dreamscape. The air grows softer, warmer, thick with moisture that carries the perfume of night-blooming flowers and the patient breath of waters that hold the day's accumulated warmth like a blessing cupped in liquid hands. In these gentle shallows where warm currents spiral lazily between banks lined with vegetation so lush it seems to glow with its own green light, Sarcosuchus begins its evening ritual of becoming one with the landscape itself. The great crocodile moves with movements so gradual they seem more like geological processes than creature locomotion, settling into the soft mud of its chosen resting place with the patient authority of something that understands the sacred relationship between earth and water and the creature's privilege to exist in the space between them. The settling is not sudden submersion, but gradual embrace. First, the great creature's belly sinks into mud warmed by a full day of prehistoric sunshine, the soft earth yielding with the gentleness of an ancient mattress that has learned to cradle giants. Then, slowly, the sides of its massive form begin to blend with the sloping banks, while water plants lean in to trail their leaves across its warming hide like blankets woven from the dreams of the wetlands themselves. As Sarcosuchus continues its gentle merger with the landscape, the boundaries between creature and environment begin to dissolve in the most beautiful way. Its hide, already colored in the browns and greens and golds of wetland mud and vegetation, seems to absorb the surrounding tones until distinguishing where the crocodile ends and the bank begins becomes impossible. The great creature transforms from predator into geography, from individual being into integral part of the breathing earth itself. The water around this gradual transformation barely stirs, accepting the addition of the great creature's bulk with the patience of liquid that has spent eternity learning how to hold and cradle and embrace all things that seek rest within its borders. Gentle ripples spread outward in perfect circles from the points where water meets the settling giant, each ring carrying away some small measure of the day's warmth and returning it to the broader circulation of the wetland's breathing. Small creatures seem to understand that something sacred is taking place. Fish swim without fear in the shallow water near the crocodile's resting place, while birds land confidently on partially submerged logs just inches from its massive head. Even insects gather to bask in the warmth radiating from its hide, creating tiny constellations of living light as their wings catch the last rays of the dying sun. All seem to recognize that they are witnessing not the preparation of a predator for nighttime hunting, but the peaceful integration of a fellow creature into the larger dreaming of the ancient earth. As full darkness begins to gather in the spaces between the massive trees and true night prepares to transform the wetlands into a realm of shadows and gentle sounds, Sarcosuchus completes its merger with the landscape. What had been clearly visible creature becomes suggestion, impression, warm disturbance in the soft mud that speaks of presence without demanding attention. In the growing darkness, only the gentle rhythm of its breathing remains clearly detectable, the slow rise and fall that creates tiny movements in the water, plants growing around its resting form. The great crocodile's transformation from titan to landscape serves as a perfect reminder that in the sanctuary of deep time, even the mightiest creatures eventually learn to rest, to blend, to become part of the larger breathing of the world that holds them. Its fading form whispers the deepest secret of existence, that true power lies not in standing apart from the world, but in learning to become so perfectly integrated with it that the boundary between self and environment dissolves into the most peaceful kind of unity. In the depths where the last traces of daylight fade into memory and darkness becomes not absence of light, but presence of deeper mystery, the ancient ocean prepares for its nightly transformation into a realm of liquid dreams. Here, where pressure and peace merge into something indistinguishable, and the water itself seems to breathe with the slow rhythm of planetary meditation. Currents flow that carry stories older than continents toward destinations known only to the most patient navigators of the deep. Through these darkening waters, Megalodon begins its own journey toward the sanctuary of deeper rest. But this is not the predator of legend, not the terror that will haunt future nightmares. Instead, it moves with the serene authority of something that has learned to read the ocean's most intimate secrets, its massive form gliding through the blue-black water with movements that speak of perfect harmony between creature and environment. Each sweep of its powerful tail creates currents that spiral outward in mathematical perfection, patterns that speak of the deep geometry underlying all existence. The great shark's approach to rest is gradual, meditative, a slow spiral downward through layers of water that grow progressively darker and more welcoming. As it descends, its form becomes less defined, more impressionistic, transforming from clearly visible creature into suggestion, into presence felt rather than seen. The water seems to embrace this gradual transformation, wrapping around the shark's massive bulk like liquid silk that has learned to hold and comfort even the mightiest of the ocean's children. Bioluminescent organisms respond to Megalodon's passage by flaring briefly to life, creating trails of blue and green and silver light that follow the creature's movement through the dark water like the wake of a living constellation. But these lights are not alarms or warnings, they are more like gentle applause, the ocean's own way of acknowledging the passage of something magnificent through spaces where light and darkness dance together in eternal partnership. As the shark continues its descent into the deeper sanctuaries of the prehistoric ocean, smaller creatures gather in its wake, not fleeing from predator, but drawn by the gentle currents created by its passage. They swim alongside the great creature's slowly moving silhouette like an honor guard of living stars, their own bioluminescence, creating patterns that echo and amplify the light show generated by Megalodon's movement through the deep. The water grows warmer as the descent continues, heated by the Earth's own dreams of rest that rise from vents and warm springs scattered across the ocean floor. This deep warmth embraces Megalodon like a liquid blanket, encouraging the already gradual pace of its movement to slow even further, until each sweep of its tail becomes less locomotion than meditation, less swimming than floating prayer through the sacred darkness of the abyss. In these deepest waters, where the boundaries between creature and current begin to blur, where movement becomes so gradual, it resembles stillness, and stillness reveals itself to be the most perfect kind of movement. Megalodon's massive presence transforms from physical reality into something more like memory, more like dream. Its form, already difficult to distinguish in the liquid darkness, begins to merge with the water itself, until only the gentlest suggestion of its passage remains pressure waves that speak of something large and peaceful, moving through spaces where rest and motion are revealed to be different expressions of the same eternal truth. The great shark's journey into deep rest serves as a reminder that even the most powerful creatures eventually find their way to sanctuary, to spaces where the simple act of existing becomes the most profound form of prayer. In the warm darkness, where the ocean reveals its most intimate secrets to those patient enough to descend beyond the reach of surface light, Megalodon becomes teacher rather than terror, demonstrating that true strength lies not in the ability to inspire fear, but in the capacity to move through the world with such perfect peace that even the darkest depths become sanctuaries of grace. In the most remote chambers of the ancient abyss, where pressure becomes blessing and darkness reveals itself as the deepest form of light, the prehistoric ocean keeps its most sacred secrets. Here, in spaces so far removed from the surface world that they exist almost in a different universe entirely, water flows with the patience of liquid time itself, carrying whispers of the Earth's most intimate dreams toward creatures wise enough to dwell in the spaces between pressure and peace. Through these cathedral depths, Camarasaurus begins its final journey into the sanctuary of deepest rest. The great nautiloid moves through the liquid darkness with movements that have transcended the need for urgency, each undulation of its massive tentacles creating currents that flow outward in patterns too beautiful for eyes that remember daylight to fully comprehend. Its shell, striped with bands that no longer catch external light but glow with their own gentle bioluminescence, transforms the surrounding water into something resembling a vast, dark chapel lit by living candles. The descent is not falling but flowing, not sinking but settling, as natural and inevitable as water finding its own level. Camarasaurus moves deeper into the abyss with the confidence of something returning home, each layer of water it passes through, welcoming its massive presence with currents that seem specifically designed to support and guide creatures of its impossible size. The tentacles that once might have been described as fearsome now flow through the dark water like liquid poetry, touching and exploring and embracing the deep spaces with movements that speak of profound intimacy with the sacred geometry of the abyss. As the great cephalopod continues its journey toward the deepest sanctuaries of the prehistoric ocean, the bioluminescent organisms embedded in its flesh begin to pulse with slower, deeper rhythms, not the sharp flashes of alarm or hunting, but the gentle glow of something preparing for rest. These living lights create patterns that flow along the creature's massive form, like aurora playing across the surface of a planet-sized shell, transforming Camarasaurus into a moving constellation swimming through the liquid darkness towards spaces where even constellations come to rest. The water around this descent grows progressively warmer, heated by the Earth's own breathing through vents that release not just warmth, but the mineral dreams of stones that have slept beneath the seafloor since time began. This deep heat embraces Camarasaurus like a liquid blanket woven from the planet's most intimate thoughts, encouraging the already slow pace of its movement to gradually merge with the barely perceptible circulation of the abyss itself. In these deepest spaces where the boundaries between creature and current dissolve into something approaching unity, where the pressure of countless fathoms above creates not crushing weight but perfect support, Camarasaurus begins its transformation from individual being to integral part of the ocean's own meditation. Its tentacles, already flowing with movements that match the deep currents, gradually extend to their full length, creating a living mandala that spans distances measured not in feet, but in the patient expansion of something learning to embrace all the darkness the abyss has to offer. The great nautiloid's shell settles into a natural depression in the seafloor that seems to have been shaped by eons of similar creatures finding rest in this exact place. The fit is perfect, as if the earth itself has been dreaming of providing sanctuary for beings of exactly this size and shape and temperament. As Camarasaurus settles into this ancient resting place, the sediment around it stirs gently, creating small clouds of bioluminescent particles that drift through the dark water like slow-motion fireworks designed to celebrate not arrival, but homecoming. In the final moments before complete rest, claims this gentle giant of the deep, the bioluminescent patterns flowing along its shell pulse one last time in rhythms that seem to sync with the subtle heartbeat of the abyss itself. Then, gradually, even these lights begin to dim, not extinguishing but transforming into something softer, warmer, more like the glow of embers settling into perfect rest than the bright illumination of waking consciousness. The great creature's presence begins to merge with the deeper circulation of the prehistoric ocean, its breathing creating subtle changes in pressure that flow outward through the dark water like whispered benedictions. In these spaces where the earth reveals its most profound secrets to creatures patient enough to dwell beyond the reach of surface urgency, Camarasaurus becomes less individual being and more expression of the abyss's own dreaming. Proof that even in the most remote and mysterious places, life finds ways to create not just survival, but transcendent beauty. In the deepest heart of the prehistoric forest, where massive trees rise like living pillars, supporting a canopy so thick that the air below remains perpetually green-tinted and warm, the ancient woodland prepares for its nightly transformation from daylight cathedral to realm of whispered dreams. The humidity here wraps around everything like a living thing, carrying with it the sweet perfume of flowers that bloom in colors forgotten by time, and the patient breath of vegetation so lush it seems to glow with its own verdant light. Among the fallen giants that have become nurse logs for countless generations of smaller plants, Titanoboa settles into the position of perfect rest. But this settling is not collapse or surrender, it is the conscious, deliberate arrangement of massive coils into patterns that mirror the breathing of the forest itself. Each loop of the serpent's incredible length finds its perfect place among the moss-covered logs and gentle hollows, creating a living mandala that speaks of the deep harmony possible when creatures learn to rest in ways that honor both their own needs and the larger breathing of the world that holds them. The great serpent's scales, warmed by a full day of filtered sunlight and the humid embrace of forest air, begin to release their accumulated heat in gentle waves that rise through the green twilight like visible prayers. This warmth creates subtle currents in the thick air, movements that stir the leaves of massive ferns and send spores of ancient moss drifting in lazy spirals toward the distant canopy above. Everything in this space seems to understand that they are witnessing not simply the rest of a predator, but the peaceful integration of a magnificent being into the larger meditation of the breathing earth. As Titanoboa's coils settle deeper into their chosen resting places, the forest itself seems to adjust to accommodate this gentle giant. Fallen leaves shift to create more comfortable cushioning, while water plants lean in to provide living blankets that help regulate temperature through the coming night. Even the smallest insects seem to understand that they are in the presence of something sacred, gathering to bask in the warmth, radiating from the serpent's resting form without fear, creating tiny constellations of life that celebrate the peaceful presence of this master of stillness. The serpent's breathing creates gentle movements throughout its incredible length, each inhalation and exhalation sending slow waves through the coils that cause the accumulated leaves and moss to rise and fall in patterns that mirror the breathing of the forest itself. There is profound meditation in this rhythm, a demonstration of how individual breath can merge with larger cycles of respiration until the boundaries between creature and environment dissolve into something approaching unity. The air around this scene of perfect repose grows increasingly fragrant as night-blooming flowers begin to open their impossible petals to the warm darkness. These fragrances, sweet beyond description, complex beyond analysis, seem drawn to the warmth emanating from Titanoboa's resting form, creating invisible spirals of perfume that dance through the humid air and transform the entire clearing into something resembling a vast, living incense burner designed to honor the sacred act of finding perfect rest in the embrace of ancient earth. As true darkness finally claims the spaces between the massive trees and the forest settles into its own rhythm of nocturnal breathing, Titanoboa's coils become less distinguishable from the landscape itself. What had been clearly visible serpent becomes suggestion, becomes warm presence felt rather than seen, becomes living reminder that even the mightiest creatures eventually learn the art of resting so completely that they become indistinguishable from the very world that cradles them. The great serpent's transformation from individual being to integral part of the forest's nighttime meditation serves as perfect demonstration that true power lies not in the ability to dominate, but in the capacity to rest with such complete trust that boundaries dissolve and creature becomes expression of the larger breathing that flows through all things. In the warm darkness where the ancient woodland keeps its most intimate secrets, Titanoboa teaches the deepest lesson of existence, that perfect rest is not absence of movement, but presence of such complete harmony with the world's own rhythm that stillness and motion reveal themselves to be different expressions of the same eternal dance. Above the prehistoric seas, night has transformed the sky into a vast canvas painted with stars that have never known the dimming of artificial light. The moon, ancient beyond measure yet eternally young in its journey across the heavens, casts a path of silver across waters so still they seem more like liquid mirror than ocean surface. Each wave catches this celestial light and holds it briefly before releasing it back to the sky, creating a conversation between heaven and water that speaks in the language of reflected luminescence. Into this moon-blessed sanctuary glides Archelon, its massive shell catching and scattering the silver light in patterns that transform the great turtle into something resembling a living constellation that has learned to swim through liquid starlight. The creature moves with movements so perfectly synchronized with the gentle swell of the nighttime ocean that it seems less like swimming than like floating prayer through waters that have been blessed by the touch of cosmic light. Each stroke of the turtle's ancient flippers creates disturbances in the moon-painted surface that spread outward in perfect circles of liquid silver, rings of light that expand and overlap and create patterns so beautiful they seem designed by the same intelligence that arranged the stars themselves. These ripples carry the blessing of Archelon's passage to distant shores, carrying with them whispers of the deep peace that comes from moving through the world with such perfect harmony that even the smallest gestures become expressions of cosmic grace. The great turtle's shell, enormous beyond imagination yet somehow perfectly proportioned to its aquatic cathedral, reflects the moonlight in ways that reveal the intricate patterns carved into its surface by countless seasons of growth and experience. Each hexagonal plate tells stories written in the language of time itself, chronicles of journeys across prehistoric oceans that span not just distances but entire geological ages. Under the moon's gentle illumination, these patterns become visible as more than just shell structure. They reveal themselves as maps of patience, as navigation charts for creatures wise, enough to measure journeys in eras rather than mere miles. As Archelon continues its nocturnal pilgrimage through the silver-painted seas, smaller creatures gather in its wake to ride the gentle currents created by its passage. Fish with scales like scattered diamonds swim alongside the turtle's massive flippers, while jellyfish with bells like living crystal pulse in rhythm with the great creature's breathing, creating a parade of bioluminescent beauty that follows the ancient navigator through waters transformed by moonlight into something approaching liquid prayer. The turtle's movement through these blessed waters creates subtle changes in how the moonlight plays across the surface. Temporary channels and valleys in the liquid silver that reveal new patterns with each stroke of its flippers. These ephemeral sculptures of light and water appear and dissolve with the rhythm of breathing, demonstrating that even the most beautiful art can be created through simple presence, through the willingness to move through sacred spaces with such perfect attention that every gesture becomes an offering to the larger beauty that surrounds all existence. In the growing distance, where water meets sky in a horizon line painted with liquid starlight, Archelon's form begins to merge with the moon path itself. The great turtle becomes silhouette, becomes shadow, becomes gentle disturbance in the silver light that speaks of something magnificent having passed this way, leaving behind only the slowly fading ripples that carry its blessing toward shores where the patient rhythm of prehistoric tides will polish these liquid gifts into treasures worthy of washing up on beaches where time itself comes to rest. The great turtle's journey into the silver distance serves as perfect reminder that even the most ancient navigators eventually find their way to spaces where movement and stillness reveal themselves to be different expressions of the insane eternal truth. In waters blessed by celestial light and warmed by the earth's own dreams, Archelon demonstrates that the deepest peace comes not from arriving at destinations, but from learning to move through the world with such grace that every moment of the journey becomes a form of prayer, every stroke through sacred water becomes an expression of gratitude for the privilege of existing in spaces where heaven touches earth, through the patient mediation of creatures wise enough to serve as bridges between the eternal and the immediate. High above the prehistoric world, where the atmosphere itself has begun its nightly transformation from blue infinity to star-studded darkness, the last thermals of day rise like invisible prayers from waters and wetlands that release their accumulated warmth to the patient sky. In these elevated spaces, where clouds gather and disperse according to laws older than weather, and where the curvature of the earth becomes visible to creatures wise enough to rise above the limitations of terrestrial perspective, the final act of daylight's drama prepares to unfold. Through this celestial transition zone soars Quetzalcoatlus, its massive wings now silhouetted against a sky painted in colors that exist only in the brief moments when day surrenders to night. The great pterosaur rides the last rising currents, with movements that speak not of urgency or destination, but of pure appreciation for the privilege of witnessing the world's transformation from one state of consciousness to another. Each wing beat creates disturbances in air that has begun to cool and settle, preparing for the different dreams that come with darkness. As the flying giant circles through the gathering twilight, its wings begin to glow with translucent beauty as the last light of day filters through the delicate membranes that have carried it across countless prehistoric skies. This illumination transforms Quetzalcoatlus into something resembling a living stained glass window soaring through the cathedral of evening air, each movement creating patterns of light and shadow that paint temporary masterpieces across the darkening canvas of the world below. The pterosaur's flight pattern gradually begins to tighten, the wide circles becoming smaller and more intimate as it prepares for its own journey toward rest. But even this preparation for landing speaks not of fatigue but of conscious choice, the deliberate decision of something that has mastered the art of flight to experience the different beauty that comes with stillness. Each descending spiral carries the great creature closer to the earth it has spent the day observing from celestial heights, creating a bridge between the realm of sky and the sanctuary of ground that speaks of perfect integration between all levels of existence. As Quetzalcoatlus descends through layers of air that grow progressively warmer and more humid, the sounds of the prehistoric world below begin to reach its ancient ears, the gentle lapping of waves against distant shores, the soft calls of creatures preparing for their own transitions into night, the whisper of wind through massive trees that have learned to breathe in rhythm with the patient circulation of atmospheric currents. These earthbound sounds seem to welcome the great flyer home, offering auditory guidance toward perfect places of rest. The pterosaur's massive form finally settles onto a high bluff overlooking the moonlit wetlands, its wings folding with movements that speak of profound satisfaction rather than simple fatigue. The great creature arranges itself with the same careful attention to comfort and harmony that marks all perfect rest, its body positioning chosen not just for physical ease, but for optimal appreciation of the beauty spread below an infinite network of silver pools, reflecting starlight like scattered mirrors, designed to remind even the highest flyers that earth and heaven are partners in the eternal dance of existence. As true darkness finally claims the prehistoric sky, and the first stars appear with the clarity possible only in times before artificial light, Quetzalcoatlus becomes part of the landscape rather than visitor to it. Its form, already indistinct in the growing darkness, gradually merges with the natural contours of the bluff until distinguishing between creature and earth becomes impossible. What remains clearly visible are the gentle movements of its breathing, creating small disturbances in the star-touched air that speak of life so perfectly at peace that even rest becomes a form of blessing offered to the world. The great pterosaur's transformation from sky master to earth dweller serves as perfect demonstration that true freedom lies not in the ability to transcend the world, but in the capacity to move fluidly between all realms of place, existence, finding equal beauty in soaring through infinite sky and resting upon solid ground. In the star-blessed darkness, where night reveals the deep connections underlying all things, Quetzalcoatlus teaches the ultimate lesson of navigation, that the most profound journeys are not measured in distance covered, but in the depth of peace discovered when movement and stillness reveal themselves to be different expressions of the same eternal truth. As the prehistoric night settles into its deepest rhythm, a profound transformation begins to sweep across the ancient world, like a gentle tide of peace flowing through every valley, over every hill, into every hidden sanctuary where the titans of deep time have found their places of perfect rest. The air itself seems to exhale with relief, releasing the accumulated energy of a day spent in witness to creatures so magnificent that their very existence transformed the meaning of what it means to be powerful yet peaceful, fearsome yet gentle, mighty yet perfectly integrated into the larger breathing of the world. In the moon-blessed waters, where silver light paints highways of luminescence across prehistoric seas, the great shapes that once moved like living continents through liquid space have settled into their preferred depths, their massive forms becoming part of the ocean's own meditation on the relationship between pressure and peace, between depth and sanctuary. Megalodon drifts in thermal layers, where warm water rises from the Earth's streams, its presence felt rather than seen as gentle disturbances in the deep circulation that speaks of something magnificent at rest in the sacred darkness. Across the ancient wetlands, where mist rises like visible prayers from water warmed by a full day of patient sunshine, the banks themselves seem to breathe with the rhythm of giants who have learned to become landscape rather than simply inhabit it. Sarcosuchus has completed its merger with the mud and water plants of its chosen sanctuary, transforming from individual creature into expression of the wetland's own dreaming, proving that the mightiest predators eventually learn the art of resting so completely that they become indistinguishable from the very earth that cradles them. In the cathedral spaces of the prehistoric forest, where humidity wraps around everything like a living embrace, and the air tastes of flowers that bloom in forgotten colors, the massive coils that once spoke of serpentine power have arranged themselves into patterns that mirror the breathing of ancient trees. Titanoboa rests among fallen logs and gentle hollows, its incredible length flowing through the forest floor like a living river of peace that has learned to find its bed among moss-covered stones and pillows of prehistoric leaves. High above the sleeping wetlands, on bluffs that overlook infinite networks of moonlit pools, the great wings that spent the day reading thermal currents and wind patterns have folded into positions of perfect repose. Quetzalcoatlus has become part of the landscape it once observed from celestial heights, its massive form indistinguishable from the natural contours of stone and earth, proving that true masters of sky eventually learn to find equal beauty in the sanctuary of solid ground. In the deep ocean, where pressure transforms from force into blessing and darkness reveals itself as the deepest form of light, the ancient navigators of liquid space have settled into places prepared by eons of similar creatures seeking the same profound rest. Archelon glides through moon-painted currents towards sanctuaries known only to those who measure journeys in geological ages, while Camarasaurus descends through layers of sacred darkness toward resting places where the earth reveals its most intimate secrets to creatures patient enough to dwell in the spaces between pressure and peace. Even in the forest clearings, where filtered sunlight once illuminated the careful steps of giants who understood the art of walking meditation, the soft moss now holds only the gentle impressions of creatures who have learned to rest with such complete trust that they leave behind only blessings, temporary disturbances in the forest floor that speak of magnificent presences having passed this way, carrying with them lessons about the relationship between power and peace, between size and serenity, between the ability to inspire fear and the wisdom to choose love instead. The prehistoric world exhales with the satisfaction of a day spent in witness to the truth that transforms every nightmare into dream, that the mightiest creatures, those beings whose size and strength could easily inspire terror, choose instead to move through existence with such profound grace that they become teachers of the deepest peace. In waters and wetlands, forests and clearings, depths and heights, the titans of ancient legend settle into rest that speaks not of exhaustion but of conscious choice, the deliberate decision to demonstrate that true power lies not in the ability to dominate, but in the capacity to exist in perfect harmony with the larger breathing that flows through all things. The night air carries their collective presence like a whispered benediction, a reminder that even in a world of giants, gentleness reigns supreme, that even creatures legendary for their fearsome power can become expressions of the most beautiful kind of peace when time polishes their movements into poetry and their presence into prayer. In this ancient sanctuary where titans learn to rest, the very air seems blessed by the understanding that strength and serenity are not opposites but partners in the eternal dance of existence. In the deepest hour of the prehistoric night, when darkness has transformed from absence of light into presence of the most profound kind of peace, the ancient world settles into the rhythm that flows beneath all others, the slow, patient breathing of the earth itself as it dreams of the creatures it has nurtured, the titans it has cradled, the gentle giants it has taught to move through existence with such grace that even their simplest gestures become expressions of cosmic harmony. The air itself has grown soft beyond description, thick with moisture that carries the accumulated dreams of countless flowering plants, the patient breath of trees, so massive they remember when continents were arranged differently, the gentle exhalations of waters that have reflected every moon that ever blessed the prehistoric sky. Each breath taken in this sanctuary of deep time tastes of flowers and earth, and the green silence of growing things that have learned to exist in perfect partnership with creatures whose size defies imagination, yet whose hearts beat with the gentle rhythm of eternal peace. In this realm where scale loses all meaning and gentleness reigns supreme over every form of power, where the mightiest creatures have revealed themselves to be teachers rather than terrors, the very landscape seems to pulse with gratitude for having been chosen as sanctuary for beings so magnificent that their presence transforms the meaning of what it means to be fearsome. The waters that once carried titans now flow with the memory of their passage, currents blessed by contact with creatures who proved that true strength lies not in the ability to inspire dread, but in the capacity to move through the world with such perfect peace that even the smallest beings seek shelter in their shadows. The wetlands breathe with the accumulated wisdom of giants who learn to become landscape, their gentle slopes and warm shallows, shaped by the resting places of creatures who understood that the deepest intimacy comes from learning to rest so completely in the embrace of the earth that boundaries dissolve and individual being becomes expression of the larger breathing that sustains all existence. Each pool reflects not just moonlight, but the memory of magnificent presences who chose to demonstrate that in a world vast enough for true titans, there is always room for tenderness, always space for the passive kind of peace that transforms even the most powerful into gentle guardians of tranquility. The forest floor cushions the dreams of serpents whose coils once spoke of crushing power, but who learned instead to arrange themselves like living mandalas that honor the sacred geometry underlying all growth, all breath, all the hidden mathematics of existence itself. Among fallen logs that have become nurse trees for countless generations of smaller life, the impressions left by creatures of impossible size speak not of weight but of blessing, temporary disturbances in the soft earth that will be treasured by the moss and ferns as they grow into the shapes left by giants, who understood that the greatest gift any powerful being can offer the world is the demonstration of how strength can serve beauty rather than dominance. Above this prehistoric paradise, the sky itself seems to dream of wings that once caught thermals and transformed them into prayers, massive membranes that filtered sunlight into patterns so beautiful they served as temporary stained glass windows for a cathedral made of atmosphere and time. The very air carries the memory of creatures who proved that mastery of sky comes not from conquering altitude, but from learning to dance with wind currents and pressure systems until flight becomes a form of meditation offered to the place. Infinite blue spaces where earth and heaven meet in the patient embrace of creatures wise enough to serve as bridges between all realms of existence. In the deepest waters, where pressure becomes blessing and darkness transforms into the most intimate form of light, thermal vents continue to whisper the earth's dreams to creatures who chose to dwell in spaces where the planet reveals its most profound secrets. The currents here flow with stories of navigation by inner compass rather than external destination, of journeys measured not in distance covered, but in depth of peace discovered when movement and stillness reveal themselves to be different expressions of the same eternal truth that flows through the hearts of all beings, wise enough to recognize their participation in the endless, breathing unity that underlies every appearance of separation. As this night of perfect peace deepens toward the hour when dreams become indistinguishable from reality, and reality reveals itself to be the most beautiful kind of dreaming, the prehistoric world settles into the rhythm that transforms terror into wonder, legend into lullaby, nightmare into the most gentle kind of vision. Here, in this sanctuary where time moves like honey and space expands to accommodate every possibility for grace, even the memory of fear dissolves into gratitude for having been privileged to witness the truth that lies at the heart of all existence, that love is always larger than terror, that gentleness always proves more powerful than force, that the mightiest creatures in any world eventually learn to move through their existence with such profound peace that their very presence becomes a blessing offered to all smaller beings who seek sanctuary in the shadows of true greatness. The Titans sleep now in positions of perfect repose, their breathing, creating subtle movements in water and air and earth that speak of life so completely at peace that even rest becomes a form of prayer offered to the larger breathing that sustains all things. Their dreams flow together like converging currents, creating a collective meditation on the nature of power transformed into service, strength evolved into sanctuary, sighs revealed as simply another way of embracing more of the world in the gentle arms of unconditional love. In this bed of ancient peace, where legends learn to rest and nightmares transform into lullabies, where the earth itself dreams of the creatures it has nurtured into gentleness, the lesson whispers itself through every breath of night air, every ripple of blessed water, every movement of leaves touched by the dreams of sleeping giants, that in the end, all beings, no matter how mighty, no matter how feared, eventually find their way home to the truth that peace is not weakness, but the strongest foundation for any existence, that gentleness is not vulnerability, but the most powerful force in any universe, that love is always the final answer to every question posed by beings brave enough to grow beyond the limitations of their own legends into the infinite possibility that waits to embrace all creatures who learn to rest in the eternal arms of deep, abiding peace. And everything moves slowly again, forever and ever, in the endless, gentle breathing of ancient time, where all Titans learn to sleep like children cradled in the arms of a universe that has always been and will always be nothing more and nothing less than love learning to dream itself awake through the patient existence of creatures magnificent enough to serve as living prayers offered to the ongoing miracle of existence itself. The prehistoric world sleeps, and in its sleeping teaches the deepest truth that all power eventually surrenders to peace. All strength ultimately serves love, and all creatures, no matter how legendary their fearsome reputation, eventually find their way home to the sanctuary of perfect rest in the eternal embrace of gentle time, where nightmares become lullabies and Titans learn to sleep like beloved children in the infinite cradle of deep, abiding peace. In the warm darkness of this prehistoric sanctuary, where giants have learned to rest and legends have transformed into lullabies, you too can find your place in the ancient rhythm of peaceful breathing. Sleep now, as the Titans sleep, in the eternal embrace of deep time where everything moves slowly again.